Hey guys, welcome to True Story Sunday. I'm going to sit here in the garage today and tell you this story because it's the craziest thing that ever happened to me. When I moved to Panama, I lived in a nice little neighborhood, and there was a guy from Australia who lived in that neighborhood. He introduced himself to me as John, but his real name is Daniel John Seppings, and he looks like this. And he's a bad person. He's a bad person. But I didn't realize this at first. I thought he was just a guy who had a business and he built replica cars. So I would see him, I would go over to his house once in a while, and he would come to my house once in a while, and we were sort of friends, I guess. But one day the Mormon missionaries came over and they said, hey, this guy, he's a kind of a weird guy, and he has these weird websites, and he thinks that he's a prophet, and he tells people that Jesus has talked to him and all this stuff. And like a ton of bricks, it hit me that I knew this guy. This is where it gets crazy. This is a story about a guy who's been an asshole for so long and to so many different people that he's running out of places on planet Earth to go without running into someone that he has known. When I was in high school, this is a complicated story, please bear with me. When I was in high school, 1995 or 96 or something, I met this guy, but I didn't recognize him when I moved to Panama, and he lived 5 minutes away from my house. The place where I worked, he married a girl who was a co-worker of mine. And not long after they were married, he started acting crazy, and she told us about it. He thinks he's a prophet. And so when the missionary said that, I was like, oh my word, it's got to be the same guy. An Australian guy who thinks he's a prophet. It's got to be the same guy. So I made some phone calls, and I called her and talked to her, and I asked what was his name, and she said it's Daniel John Seppings. And so I went to work, I got on the internet, I found all of his old crazy websites, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is my neighbor. This guy who screwed over a friend of mine, really, messed up her life. He's my neighbor, and now he has this business where, I saw cars at his house, but I also knew that the cars that he advertised on his website were not the cars that he actually made. All he does is take video. A Jaguar makes a commercial, and he downloads that video, and then he redoes the audio, and he uploads it, and he says this is his car, and people give him money. That's how easy it is to steal from people, by the way. When I watch those videos, they're so transparent. It's so bogus, but somehow there's people out there that have money that just transfer money to this guy's bank account in Panama. This guy who they've never met or seen, or some of you probably think that that the owner of Super Replicas is named Ritter Sanchez, but it's not. It's Daniel John Seppings, the religious fanatic Daniel John Seppings. So at first I started out by wanting to, before I even realized that I knew who he was, I wanted to make a video that exposed Super Replicas for the scam that it was. But then once I found out that he had hurt a friend of mine, it became personal, and then I kind of wanted to expose him for some revenge. So then but I had to play it cool, right? So I started calling him and emailing more often. Hey, when are we going to make a video about these cars that you have? And he kept putting me off, and finally it came time for me to leave Panama. We had sold our furniture, we had sold our car, I had sold my motorcycle, and in 2 weeks I was leaving Panama, for good, except to visit. And I bumped into him at the grocery store, just doing some shopping. And he said, hey, let's get together and make that video. And I said, dude, it's too late. I mean, I've been trying to make this video with you for 2 years. And now I'm moving. I'm leaving Panama in 2 weeks. So sorry, but it's not going to happen. And he said, well, he said, just to let you know that I'm serious this time, here's $100. He paid me $100 right there in the store. And come over at this time and this date. And I said, dude, I sold my car. So if you want me to come, you've got to come and pick me up and take me over there. So he did. He came and he picked me up and he gave me a ride to his, it wasn't like a workshop, but it was more just like a storage area. And there were 2 cars there. And a guy was there from Panama City to buy them. And neither one of them would start. Yesterday they both ran fine, but today they wouldn't even start. And they had the body of like a Ferrari on top of a Toyota, some kind of Toyota chassis. And they were very, the fit and finish was very poor. It was a replica car, and that's okay. And the guy that was there to buy them, he knew what kind of cars they were. He knew that they weren't great cars. But what Super Replica advertises is that you can get a Bugatti Veyron for 20 grand. Like a perfect replica of a Bugatti Veyron for 20 grand. Because their labor costs are cheaper, they can afford to make a profit off of a Veyron. Off of a $2 million car for 20 grand. But people buy it. People want them so bad that they stop thinking straight and they think, yeah, I'll just get this. So I went over there and I couldn't, there was nothing to film really because we couldn't make a commercial for Super Replicas because neither of the cars would move. They wouldn't even start, right? So, but I knew that no one was probably ever going to have this opportunity again to expose Super Replicas. No one was going to be given a ride to the guy's warehouse with a camera. So I took out the camera that I'm talking to now, and I just filmed casually. And I kind of held it in my hand, and I would fold my arms like this, and the camera would be here, and I'd be filming. So some of it's sideways, and some of it might be upside down because I was holding the camera in my hand, like with my arm to my side and filming behind me. But I was getting inside footage of Super Replicas and the cars that they make, which are just pieces of junk, And I was nervous. I mean, I was nervous about it because I knew I always sort of wondered if he had made me, right? Because we met once upon a time. So I thought maybe he's canceling on all of these things because he knows who I am and he doesn't want me to come and film his stuff. So when he invites me to a thing finally and he says, I'll come pick you up, I think I might be in over my head here. But I put that out of my mind. I kind of went into this I'm a spy. That's with this guy really angry at me. So I had to wait until now. I've been sitting on this story for years because I had to wait until now when my wife was finally in the United States with me to be able to tell the story. And I talked with a writer from Jalopnik. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a weird word. But he interviewed me for a story. I don't know, it was maybe like 8 months ago that he interviewed me for that story. And I had all that video then, and I had pictures, and I said, I have this stuff, but you can't use any of it because he'll know where it came from. And that could put my wife in danger, so I can't share it with you. But now I can. So I just spoke to that writer again the other day, and he's going to do another story. And you can read the previous story, which I helped with. But it's just crazy. I don't know how to end this. But I guess I somewhat feel bad for the people who have lost their money, but at the same time, you should be pretty embarrassed that you lost your money to this guy, because a simple Google search. I mean, have you heard of Google? Just watch some of his YouTube videos. It's so obvious that all of this is fake, and it just kills me. He does things like, he doesn't get in front of the camera. He's done enough cons and been busted enough times to know that he can no longer be the front man. So he's behind the scenes now, and he's got a Panamanian guy called Ritter Sanchez who gets in front of the camera. So someone like Chip Foose goes to Panama for a convention, and they go to the convention, and Ritter Sanchez has his arm around the guy, and he's giving the thumbs up like we're partners. And then they go and they edit that into a video that says Chip Foose has endorsed Super Replicas. But there's something on Chip Foose's website that I mean, they actually had to come forward and say, no, we don't have anything to do with that company. We don't know what they're talking about. But they just, I don't know, they just do these weird things that are just so amateurish looking that anybody out there that lost money, I'm sorry, but you've got to, use your head a little bit, I guess. Come on. This guy, it frustrates me because this guy is a religious fanatic. He has started his own church in Panama, or he's part of some fundamental LDS church group, and he's taking advantage of people. He's taking advantage of people who are poor and uneducated and very superstitious, and he's telling them that he's a prophet and they're believing him, and it frustrates me that people are giving him money that allows him to carry on with the projects that he's doing. He's a bad guy, and I hope that, I mean, he seems, if you search for things about him, you'll find like a history of articles. You'll see that he was in Honduras for a while, and he had a big scam running there. He started out in Australia, and God called him on a mission to the United States. He was deported from the United States, and then he seems to bounce around in Central America until one of the governments of Central America, wherever he is, finally says, wait a minute, we don't want this guy here. And then they deport him, and then he goes and starts, this is another scam in another country. The last time I heard from him, he sent me an email saying that he had found the Ark of the Covenant in Panama, and it was at a place that I had made a video at before. I knew there was no Ark of the Covenant there. But he says he found the Ark of the Covenant there, and he was like setting up a tour company so people could sign up and go take a tour of and see the Ark of the Covenant. And I started to write an email, and I said, in your quest to surround yourself by stupid people, please remember that I am not one of them. But I deleted that, and I wrote back, hey, that's great news. Don't get your face melted off like the Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I don't know. This has been a True Story Sunday about the craziest thing that ever happened to me. A crazy person who I once met in Utah ended up being my neighbor in Panama when I lived in Panama. And I did my best to get some video proof that what he does is a scam. And if you still are convinced that it's real, then shame on you, because you're supporting a guy who's a very bad person. So, ride safe, travel far, do it soon, everyone. This has been a kind of confusing True Story Sunday, but I don't know how else to tell it rather than just try to plow through it. You can read the articles on Jalopnik and get more information about it, and just do your own Google searches. See ya. So, I have to say, I'm really sort of relieved that
I was able to come with you today and, you know, see that guy buying a car because have you ever Googled Super Replicas?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that do that.
There's a whole lot of people that say that Super Replicas is a scam.